Well, hello YouTube. Today I am going to go over a little bit about the insane amount of work that it takes to be a polyglot. Something I've been working on for years, dude. Let me tell you, I kind of despise the internet polyglots on such a level. It is unreal because to me it's so fabricated. It's easy to memorize specific things to say for like a video or whatever else. Actors have been doing it for years. It totally dismisses the level of work it takes to learn a language beyond a comprehensible margin. Can you tell English isn't my first language either? Probably not. But yeah, it just blows my mind. I, I remember learning my first couple languages when I was a little kid, and I don't speak these languages fluently or even at a surf level. I just know like basic toddler phrases in a bunch of them, like Albanian and Romanian. I dumb phrases, because of my family. But that being said, those are easy to memorize. It's easy to have the bare bones basic level of communication with people. And I would say that speaking is like the hardest part of language learning. It's honestly pretty easy to learn how to read in a language. I would say the gears shift differently in your head than speaking. I don't know all the science, but I know there are like different parts of your brain that are responsible for those things. And some people will have a different experience based on how their brain is structured, I guess. Some people maybe find speaking way easier. I always found the whole reading aspect the easiest of it all. I also understand very well, but speaking is like, to me, the most difficult. And I would say for most people, the speaking portion is the most difficult because not only are you internalizing and translating, then you're regurgitating back out. You're doing a translation in, and then you're translating back out. So, yeah, a lot of people will talk about how it has to become automatic. And I think maybe for some people at some points it does. But at any point in the learning process, you're not doing that. Until you're like basically a fluent speaker, you're not going to have this riding the bike mentality of it. And it can be frustrating, I think, right, for most people. And that's kind of why I don't like these internet polyglots. I don't think that they can speak those languages most of the time. Some of them, like they're bilingual or trilingual and they're of a certain age or were raised in certain countries while they had like a home language. I get it, you know what I'm saying? But anyone that's like, oh, I speak 8 languages and I'm only in my 20s or I'm 31 or something, no, you don't. No, you don't. Unless you're a linguist or variously, sometimes if you're in certain pockets of the world, they speak multiple languages because they have to. But it's unlikely that you're one of them people, especially if you're famous on the internet. I don't want to like throw punches at people, but like there's some obvious candidates that fit the bill, and I'm sure a lot of people will know who I'm talking about. That being said, I think that it is a great practice to have to try and learn all these languages. It creates new pathways in the brain, and you get new perspectives based off learning the languages too, just like how words work. I think that language is very much a part of how people think, and that when you expand your mind in these ways, you get new, fresh perspectives even on your own language. There's this thing that happens, and someone else coined this term, not me. It's called brain rumble. I get because I get it a lot because I try to learn more than one language at a time, and you'll find that you'll be speaking in the grammar of another language in your native language sometimes. and it's kind of funny actually when it happens. But you'll have people being like, "What is going on with this guy's brain?" And yeah, it's just, for me, it's always humorous. I enjoy it so much because I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, that was this language and this language fused together." But that just goes to show you that it does change something in your brain, and like how perspective and perception works based on words. So I think that's really cool, and I highly recommend anyone that wants to learn another language just do it. Don't think that doing 15 minutes of Duolingo is going to teach you a language, because it's not. Uh, I use Duolingo a lot. I kind of love hate it. You know what I'm saying? I think for certain languages, it's super useful. It isn't exactly how people talk, but if you want to learn formal speaking for like a job or something like that, if you're learning like French or Spanish, one of those languages that are very like much documented and lots of effort's been put into creating curriculums for learning that language, it's probably okay to heavily supplement your knowledge with it. Or at the very least, you know, if you go through the first couple units on there, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot really fast. You're going to see if it's for you. And at that point, once you get to like the, I don't know, A2, B1 level, then you can start looking for outside source material. I wouldn't really do it until then, because you don't know if you like the language or if the language is for you, because sometimes languages just aren't for you. I'll be honest. Some languages are not for me. I find that lots of romance languages just don't fit in my mouth right for whatever reason. And I can learn them. I know I can, because I've practiced with a few of them, like Spanish and French I practiced with a little bit. However, it just doesn't fit in my mouth right. It's uncomfortable for me to speak those languages. But it could also be the fact that I have practiced with German and Russian and Japanese and stuff like that. And those are just kind of like, they fit in your mouth differently. There's different vocalization points, whether it's off the teeth or out the mouth or in the throat. So that has a big part of it. And I feel a lot of romance languages, maybe it's just like on the tongue a lot or the roof of your mouth. And I just, I guess it's just not for me. However, if you're an English speaker, Spanish is probably your best option if you can vocalize the tones and the sounds appropriately. And again, I grew up with Mexican family members, so I understand Spanish pretty well, but I'm just not very good at speaking it. Like on text, I can read it and understand most of what it. I'm not like certified or anything, but I can read Spanish text and know what it's saying a lot of the time. Same with French, kind of too, just because of the similarities between French, Italian, and Portuguese. Again, I won't get everything from it, but I'll be able to rip context out of the text on the page. Which you'll find that as you learn more languages, this becomes more and more doable. Even if you don't have the most broad understanding of a language, you'll still be able to rip context out of a lot of things you just happen to come across. I don't know what that is. And the more languages you dabble with, the more you'll be able to rip out of everything. And it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. It's very helpful, actually. I find it super enjoyable to just be like looking at something and be like, oh, this says something about beef and there's this number or this date and et cetera, you know. It's really cool. That being said, it is a very difficult and challenging thing. I will personally even like, I'll be copying dictionaries sometimes, translation dictionaries as well as regular dictionaries, and then reading children's books, lots of children's books. I have so many German children's books. It's unreal. And again, maybe I do that because personally it's just easier for me to understand written text, because I'm not double translating back and forth to understand and then reproduce it. But you got to be careful with just reading, because you will internalize the wrong pronunciations for things. I found this out with German very sadly. 2 or 3 months into it, I was doing certain sounds wrong for certain characters. And let me tell you, that's a hard habit to break. So if you're serious about being a polyglot, you should probably get the basic sound components down first. I didn't have so much trouble with umlauts because the way I internalized it was they're just a long vowel. So like instead of ah, it's a. And it's not exactly right, but it's kind of how that works. Anyway, it's great to do. I am probably A2 German, A2 Spanish, high A1 French. I'm probably N5 Japanese, and I don't know, I want to say A2 Russian, but that might be presumptuous to say. However, and I know some like Filipino, and I know some Albanian and Romanian and a little Hungarian, but that's besides the point. I think that it is very much a valuable skill, even with AI, like basically eliminating the necessity for that, and the fact that like you can Google Translate stuff, whatever else. And a lot of people will be like, oh, the formalized form is not how you should learn it because that's not everyday speak. Well, if you're trying to get a job in another country, or if you're trying to do business with another country, or any of these things, learning the language, like a formalized version of the language with grammar and everything, practicum, you need to. All of these people on the internet are like, oh, this is not natural. This is not how people talk. And I'm like, yeah, on the street when you're talking to some stranger for a hot dog, you're right. You're probably not going to talk like that. But if you're trying to make a multi-million-dollar deal with somebody for this product, or if you're trying to engage the news, or if you are talking to lawyers for whatever reason to get something into a country or pull something out of a country, whether it be a product or a service or whatever else, you need to know the formalized form. And I highly recommend it. I think that it's great for you as a person to do these things. And I cannot emphasize how much I personally enjoy the learning experience. And I will continue to learn languages for as long as I'm alive, probably. I do ASL and everything else. Eventually, once I figure out sign language, I'm going to switch to Braille, because I think those are also other forms of communication. As you can see, I probably should have been a linguist. But unfortunately, what people don't know about linguists is that's not exactly what they do, is just learn languages. That is not the topic of this video. I will do a topic on that later, and I would love to do a shout out to Etymology Nerd. If you want to like really learn anything about etymology, that's the guy. Go check him out. Like the guy a lot. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. Definitely try to be a polyglot. It's super useful, even if you can only be bilingual or trilingual. It doesn't really matter. I think that knowing another language is imperative to growth as we become a more open world, and not doing it is only going to hold you back. And especially when you can learn Spanish in 3 months if you put 3 hours in a day. Like, there's no reason not to. Learn it in a year, spend an hour a day on Spanish, learn it in a year, it's not that big of a deal. You can find the time. You can get off Netflix. You can find the time. But yeah, if you're learning a language, go ahead and leave a comment down below with what language you're learning. I'd love to hear about it. Maybe we can, chat on WhatsApp or something like that in the specific language, especially if it's one I'm learning as well. And if not, just, go ahead and subscribe if you like languages, and give me a like or a dislike if you found this interesting or not. I don't care. If you dislike it, you dislike it. If you're going to dislike it, however, I would appreciate a comment about why you disliked a video, so maybe I can do better stuff in the future for other people. Thank you guys, and have a great day. I am, again, Klein. Goodbye.